buy a new house, but in order to get the new house, you have to sell your current house. And you're not really sure how that works. How do you do that without being homeless or without having 2 mortgages? Well, today we're going to give you some options and talk you through the process of buying and selling at the same time. So first of all, you bought your first house. Congrats. That actually required a lot of saving. And that first house is really the hardest one to get into because you are having to scrap together all you can to come up with that down payment and your closing costs to buy a house. But now you get the benefit of the equity that you have in that current house. And how that works is while you've been paying down your mortgage, your house has very likely gone up in value. In fact, if you have held on to it for more than a year, definitely 2 years, I can almost promise you your house is worth more now than it was whenever you bought it. So now you have equity. That's the difference between what you can sell your house for and what you owe on your house. Now you can leverage that. So instead of having to scrap together so much money, you can take, let's just say your house is appreciated and you paid down your mortgage balance, and now if you sold, you would walk away with $100,000. You can now put that $100,000 down towards a bigger house, a more expensive house. And since you're putting down a bigger chunk, your monthly payment can stay pretty similar to what it is right now. So that's why we call things starter homes. It's great, buy a house, no matter how inexpensive it is. It's good to get in something because then an appreciating asset, and as it grows, you're going to be able to use that and then get a slightly bigger house, and then that house is going to gain equity, and then you can buy an even bigger house. And this is really how people build wealth through real estate. Okay, so here's the first step, and this is really important. You first need to know what is your current home worth and how much equity do you have. That means you need to know how much you can sell your house for and what are you going to walk away with after all the closing costs, commissions, and fees that you're going to have to pay at closing. That's your equity, and then that's going to tell you exactly how much you can afford to put down on the next house. Now that you know how much equity you have, that brings us to option 1, and that is get with a lender and find out if you have to sell your current home in order to qualify for a loan for your next home. Now, most people don't want to have 2 mortgages, and a lot of people can't qualify for that second house without selling their home first, but you should still check. And I'm going to talk later about the length of time you're going to have to get your home sold, so hopefully you don't end up with 2 mortgage payments. But always ask your lender first. You might be surprised. You might actually be able to qualify for a loan without selling your current home first. Doesn't mean we're not gonna sell your current home first, but it means that you can go ahead and get a pre-approval and start shopping for a new house without it being contingent on the sale of your current house. So first, let's talk about that word contingency. Contingency means that you can go out, make an offer on another house, go under contract, but it is contingent on the sale of your current house. So if something falls through, maybe you get a buyer for your house, you get close to closing and their loan doesn't get approved, or maybe you have an appraisal issue. It means that you have an out. You can get out of that new purchase because your home didn't end up selling. Now, I'll be honest with you, the sellers of the home that you're buying, they're not gonna love that it's contingent. It puts a big question mark over the entire transaction. So if you can make an offer that's not contingent, that's definitely recommended. But if you have to make it contingent, or you just really want that safety net to know you can get out, if for some reason your home doesn't sell, then make sure your realtor puts a contingency in there for you. You've got your new house under contract, you've got your current house under contract, but you can't afford to close on that new house until you've actually gotten your money out of your current home. So how does that work? Well, on the day of closing, that's the day that you're going to get your proceeds from your sale. You can turn around and close on your next house that very same day, but I don't recommend it. It is very common for things to get delayed at closing. There's a lot of back and forth that happens between the lender and the title company. It's not uncommon at all for things to get delayed by a day or 2. And so to line everything up on the same day, everything has to go perfectly, which means you don't leave yourself any cushion or any room for error. So I really don't recommend it. I like trying to space those closing days out by a few days, and then you say, well, how does that work? We closed on one house, but we can't get into the new house yet. Are we homeless for a few days? Well, you don't necessarily have to be, because here is option number 4. So that has brought us to the leaseback. A leaseback is a beautiful thing whenever you're trying to buy and sell at the same time. What a leaseback is where you sell your current home. You are no longer the owner, but you actually stay in it as a renter. You are leasing it back from the new owners for a period of time to allow you to get closed on your new house and get moved out. So you get your money the day of closing. You might pay them a small fee in rent. Your lease back might be for 3 days. It might be for 30 days, but it gives you time to turn around, get closed on the new house, get all your stuff moved into the new house, and you're not having to put your things in storage in between or be homeless for a few days in between those two closings. So a lease back is something that you would want to negotiate with the buyer who makes an offer on your home. And if you can do that, it makes it so much easier when you're making that transition from one home to the next. So we've talked about getting pre-approved, maybe not having to sell your current home. We've talked about making contingent offers if you have to on the next house. And we've talked about lease backs, but let's talk about another option, because maybe you're in a market where it's really competitive, where you're trying to buy a new house, but you're in multiple offer situations and sellers aren't accepting your offer because you have that contingency where you have to sell your current home. This is where we have some really cool third-party programs that can step in and help. What they will do for a fee is they will actually go ahead and purchase that new house for you. They will pay cash. So your offer is cash and it is not contingent. That makes it a really strong offer. And then they will allow you to just pay them a rental fee while you get your current home sold and moved into the new home. And most of our programs, they give you up to 6 months to get your current house sold. It just relieves a lot of the stress. You're not having to do both at once if you don't want to. You can go find the new house, buy the new house, close on the new house, move into the new house, and then worry about getting your house on the market and getting it sold. Again, they do charge a fee for this convenience, and then you are paying them a rental amount during that time. So there's a little bit of extra cost in there, but it might be a good option for you just depending on what kind of market you're in and if you're losing out when you're making offers because your offer is contingent on the sale of your house. So talk to your realtor about some of those programs. Those can be a great option if that's something that you need. There are some options we haven't talked about yet, and I would say they're kind of the less desirable options, but they are options. If you have family you can stay with. I do have clients sometimes who choose to go ahead, get their home sold, get that part completely done, and then they stay with family for a month in between while we're searching for their next house until they get closed on the next home. Granted, you have to like your family and you have to have family that's willing to let you come stay with them. I've also had clients do an Airbnb or a short-term rental. They just don't want to deal with selling and buying right on top of each other. So they find a place to go, they put their things in storage, and then we turn around and find their next house, and then they get moved in. So if you get creative, there are ways you can make it work. Obviously, it's not ideal because you have to move twice. You have to move out of your current house, and then you have to put all that stuff in storage, and then take it out of storage and move it into your new house. But it is an option. So there you have it. You can see there's lots of different ways we can make this work, but it's awesome that you own a home, you've gained equity, and you can now use that to maybe move into a different neighborhood or get a bigger house or get a house with a pool. I know it's a lot of work to do both at once, but it's something we do all the time. And as you can see, there's different avenues you can take to get there, but no matter what, we can get you there. And I promise it's well worth it. And I almost forgot to tell you, we have a guide you can download, a buying and selling at the same time guide. You can just click the link down below and it's got even more helpful hints for you.